everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Singapore's Real Estate Explained, brought to you by the J&A Investments team. And today we have another new launch review. 8 at BT also stands for 8 at
Bukit Timah.
Kidding lah. 8 at Bukit Timah. Yeah, okay. Yes, so this is Grace.
And this is Christian. And we are bringing to you this latest update of this new launch because it's one of the hotly discussed topic, especially after Reserve almost fully sold out.
Yeah.
People are wondering, hey, would this be the next launch that will be hot in demand and people are looking forward
And
to?
again, it's next to MRT, and Singaporeans love MRT.
Yes, and even the heart of Beauty World, which is a transformation area. So that's something that people are keen to find out more. So today we'll look at this to see whether it's a buy, wait, or avoid. But before we start, we'll run through the usual. We'd like to thank all our clients for supporting us. So we serve over 500 investment clients with a 19.56% annualized returns a year. And this is something that we are very thankful for. And it's because of clients like you that we're able to continue this show running. All right. And also, we'd like to happily announce that we hit 124 Google reviews. So keep it coming. And this is something we're encouraged by because this is something that we have always been looking forward to see how we can value more to our clients with our service.
Yep. And if you came to know us through our investment series, we also have a Locked It series where we actually share about how we've sold 2,000 homes with almost hitting 80% at record per square feet. So you can check that series out if you're interested also.
Yes, indeed. And much further ado, let's jump into this project. So ABT is a small development, 4,600 meters square, 50,000 square feet of land, plot ratio 3, and number of units about 158 units. So I guess it's not like boutique below like the 80 to 40
But it's
range.
not the biggest development,
Yes,
which
indeed.
if we are talking about investment-wise, one of the key factors is also try to look at bigger developments just because the transaction volume usually helps the prices to move also.
Yeah, but of course, later you can see some examples. So interestingly, for some, I guess, smaller development, if the entry price is right, I mean, they still make money.
Yep.
But the key thing is this a general trend where we don't really encourage big, small developments as an investment choice. But let's take a look at what are the prices. But before that, let's take a look at the government land sale. Grace, can you bring us through?
Yeah, so for this plot of land itself, I would say because of it being on a smaller scale, the appetite it's a smaller appetite risk for developer, and that's why you also see that there were 5 bids for this, with Bukit 1, which is under Bukit Sembawang, having the winning bid for this plot of land itself.
Yep, and close to 200 million, a very palatable quantum. And it's Bukit Sembawang, which they are quite well known for their layout types.
Yep.
And they are well known to create projects that are decently sized, not like too small or awkward shape. So it's something that we can look forward
So
to.
they actually bought this land in 2022, right? So you can actually see that they held the land for quite some time before launching. Maybe because they didn't want to clash with Reserve also, because Reserve being a bigger development has its potential. So if you have to put like a smaller development and a bigger development and launch together, right, it may not be at an edge. But seeing how Reserve have performed, I guess developer now is a bit more confident in launching this project at this time.
They feel like, yes, the competition is gone. Now I'm the only one launching and I'm ready to launch at a decent
And then
price.
because they're not very big, right? So they won't also have to worry about trying to clear out the units if it's a very big development.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so what are some of the additional works that this developer have to do, right? So Singapore government is very smart. Every time they launch a land, there may be certain criteria. For example, Tembusu, they have to build a park. So for this one itself, they have to widen the road and then they have to take charge of that cost. And also to maintain it until it's being returned to LTA. So sometimes when you look at break even, you cannot just see it as just a break even, but I need to consider behind. So I think for this plot of land, not too many requests, just of the widening of road. There is no park to be built, for example. So this is something we can take note of. Okay, and then you'll look at the blocks. For this development itself, they are actually built into 2 main blocks. Being in a north-south orientation, so not many units will have west sun. Actually, none of the units will have direct west sun into the balcony itself. And to look at the right, you will see that it's actually being surrounded by the link. Opposite is Reserve Residences, and then in front of them is Beauty World Centre.
Yes. So next, let's take a look at the entry price. And the easiest way to take a look at this is the break-even price. In this case, it's at 2,282 per square feet, which means you launch at a 10% break-even margin. Usually what developers are looking at is hitting 2.5. And this is something that may be a concern at the start for the developer before they launch with Reserve, because back then Reserve was going 2.4, that range, and it's a big development.
Yep.
So with this, I would guess the key thing is now the launch is done. I mean, reserve is almost 95% sold plus. And what exactly will the launch price be for this to compare with those that have been transacted?
Yeah, so I think if you're looking at 10 to 15, which usually developer launch at, right, estimately maybe they'll be launching about 2005 to 26, thereabout. Maybe hopefully lower if they were to match where reserve came from, but estimately I think average will be about between 25 to 26 because this is and this is before the area harmonization actually happened.
Yes, indeed. So that's why the first thing that we have to do is to compare to all the new launches that launched in the past 3 years. And we have two contender. One is the Link at Beauty World, which fun fact was sold out 100% within the first day. It's a freehold unit, TOP soon, 2025, 120 units, small development. And we have another, which is Reserve, the one that Blockbuster launched. People are buying into it, 732 units, tenure 99 years from 2021.
Yeah.
Okay, by Far East. So let's take a look at the comparison between each of the new launch, the Link, Reserve, and ABT. So you can see over here, in terms of break-even price, the Link is the lowest because the land was bought way beforehand, like 6-7 years ago, and they were launched in about 4 years ago. So naturally, the break-even will be much lower, 1863 per square feet for a small plot of land. And subsequently, we have Reserve Residences, which is almost close to 2330 because it's a mixed development with a commercial component. So naturally, the break-even price will be higher because they have to pay for the commercial, but they won't sell the commercial component. So there's something to take note for Reserve. And last one is with ABT, which the break-even price, they bought the latest in terms of land bid at 228 per square feet. So when compared to all this, why is it important to take a look at this is because if you were to buy the land cheap, you can launch it cheap, you maybe get a better price. But you can see in terms of the pricing here, break-even is actually not the lowest. It's something that you have to take note when it comes to the launch price of ABT later on. So in terms of area harmonization, all these three are not considered. And in terms of average pricing, as I mentioned, you can see Reserve Residence was launched at about 2489 per square feet. The Link, average price 2187, launched 4 years ago. And in terms of break-even wise, you can see the Link is 17.4, Reserve is 6.8%. ABT, let's see how it goes. But I believe, looking at what Reserve is doing, may not be a very high percentage for break-even.
Yeah. So Reserve, I would say that they launched at a very good price, especially considering how much their break-even was. They may have also taken into account the size of the development, being 700 plus units, right? I think the developers, they don't want to price it too high and have the units being stuck in the market. And that's why when they launched, they actually launched, I would say, under usual break-even margins of about 10 to 15%.
Yes, indeed. All right. In terms of development size, you can see ABT is 158 units, very similar to the Link. So let's see how things goes. Okay, for this.
So for primary schools wise also, the Link, you have 3 primary schools, Bukit Timah, MGS, and Pei Hwa. Reserve, you have MGS and Pei Hwa. 8 at BT, for now MGS is confirmed. Pei Hwa is confirmed. I think MGS is to be confirmed. And then, of course, tenure-wise, besides Link being freehold, both at Reserve and 8 at BT are both 99 years leasehold.
But good thing is Pei Hwa is the key thing. Like people are looking at that school for a good school. Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at how the Link perform. And what is important is to see how does it affect ABT and whether ABT may respond the same way. So fun fact, Link is even smaller. The land plot is 2,000 square meter, almost half the size. Okay. And Plaster Plan is similar 3. 120 units, freehold. The only thing with it is freehold. And something that was shocking, in fact, when I look at it, 120 units,
as a sub-sale. So it hasn't TOP yet, but there have been transactions as sub-sale. And when you see the profits, right, that's actually very, very healthy for such a small development.
Yes. We see like a 2-bed, 1-bath, 594 square feet at 341K. Yeah. And then 797, a 3-bed. Okay, very interesting. It's very small, but people still buy. 498K. So these are things that we notice. Okay, one thing why the Link actually we were discussing just now is small development is I presume it's actually linked to the quantum.
Yeah.
Okay, quantum wise, to find something freehold within the area that is new is very rare to find something like that. So people are still willing to pay, although it's of a higher PSL, close to 2,008 per square feet. But when it comes by the quantum, 797 square feet for a 3-bedder, it's still a palatable quantum. So that's why people are willing to pay. And along the fact that it's freehold, not a 99-year, compared to something that is the Reserve that's coming up, it does allow it to have that leverage to make this amount of profit margin.
Yeah. So if you look at why they also perform well for the Link, right? If you were to go back in time when Link actually launched in 2020, the leasehold and freehold premium, if you were to look at just the resale alone, was about 30% in District 21. Back then, when you compare the Link and Mayfair Modern, the gap between the leasehold and the Link, which is freehold, was only about 12%. So that's almost more than half the difference. And that could also be a reason why the Link prices went up so significantly.
Yes, indeed. But of course, this is not something that apply for all cases. Small data can make, but I would guess a very interesting exception where we see because entry price is right, the quantum is priced in the correct manner. So that's why it's still able to make this profit margin.
Yep.
Yeah. And let's take a look at the two-bedder right now. In terms of transaction, 2 bed, 1 bath, 594 square feet, a very small unit is usually a 1 bedder size. It's currently transacted at 1.6 million. Okay, for a sizable 549 square feet unit. Okay, 1.5 to 1.6 million. Okay, and for the 2 bed, 2 bath, 667 square feet are transacted at close to 1.583 to 1.88 million. Okay, so 1.8 million for the recent transaction in 2023. Okay, so using this, let's take a look at how would Link compare to A at BT.
In terms of the layout wise, right, you will see that actually for 8 at BT, the 2 bedders, a bit more unique in the layout because usually 2 bedders don't have home shelter. And usually 2 bedders kitchen don't have window also. It's normally like a walk-in. So I think the Link, it's a good example of how not the current new or the upcoming new launches, normally kitchen is like. Whereas 8 at BT, yes, one of the rooms are slightly smaller, but you realize they don't have balcony. So they save in that space and probably a balcony went to home shelter, which is not very common that you will see. In terms of quantum-wise, you will see that the quantum, if let's say they do launch at 2650 for 2 bedders, the quantum of 1.65 will be similar to what the Link actually sold at for their 2 bedders, 2 bed, 1 bath.
Yep. So there are sub-sale-wise comparative. One is freehold, one is leasehold. I would say it doesn't like show that ABT is cheap. Neither does it show it's expensive. It's something that can comparable given the demand size is the same. But this is something you must take note if you launch at 2650.
Yep. I think your develop very cute because they put this arrow thing to show that got wind flow between the living room and the kitchen.
Yeah, kitchen. You want to make it highlight it. And next part, if a 2 bed, 2 bath, if you take a look, 732 square feet, you can see at 2650 will be 1.9, but maybe it will be lower at 25 something at 1.8 plus. So it will be similar. They're trying to hit the same price as sub-sale. Same quantum. As sub-sale for the Link at 1.88 million. This is something that you may stay tuned. And layout-wise similar, they all didn't have balcony and they're all changing into a storeroom. Home shelter. Yeah, so there's something that, and the living area, I guess, is like landscape with something on, I would say, is decent. Like a better layout. There's something that is a portrait where we can see a deeper living room. Yeah. And in terms of kitchen, it's similar. It's actually, there's a window that you can easily enclose it to become an enclosed kitchen.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, so for 3 bedders wise, you will see again, I think in Link wise, the plus point will be the quantum because of how compact they managed to build their units, right?
Yep.
So 3 bedders at 797, even at 800 plus, people really feel it's a bit tight, but they managed to squeeze a 3 bedder in 797. Quantum was ranging about 1.6 to 1.7 back then, and when you see it hit sub-sale this year in February, it hit about 2.24. So that's for the compact ones. And if you go to the slightly bigger one at 958 square feet, you will see that a lot of them entered about 1.9-ish to 2 million back in 2020.
Yes, and indeed, right now, they may be sitting in a higher profit margin, 958, because this 2020, right now, you can see 2008, that will almost close to 600-700K of gains if they were to sell at what price that they really let go by then. So let's take a look at the Link, the 3-bedroom compact as compared to ABT.
It's more of a 2+ study because you see that the third bedroom, right, is actually very, very small, such that it doesn't have a wardrobe. And the length of the room just nice fits the length of a single bed.
Yes. So it's, first time I call it like a storeroom. Maybe it's a 2-bed plus a storeroom. Okay, plus study. And one thing to note is the layout-wise for the Link is open concept and there's no window. So it's really unconventional with this kind of layout. But in fact, the surprising part is people still willing to buy.
Because of the quantum itself,
At 2.24 to afford something freehold within an area, I mean, some people are willing to take. But when it comes to resale, I may foresee that people may not enjoy this layout. Yeah. So, but the key thing why we're looking at this is compared to the ABT. Comparing the layout-wise, this is much better with a storeroom, okay, with enclosed kitchen.
But
window.
the room's still very small for the second bedroom.
The second bedroom.
Again, it's the same size because there is no wardrobe space and the length of the room is again the same as the length of the bed.
Yep. So there's something to take note. But nonetheless, the layout is slightly bigger, 1033 square feet, and with a balcony space with a landscape layout for living area. So if it launched at about 2.6 million, okay, comparatively to the link, you can see it's compared-wise, it's slightly higher.
Because
But
ABT not really considered like compact. Like, it's just that one of the rooms is really very small. I think people would appreciate if they just built like 3 normal rooms.
Yep, indeed. And this 300K difference, it does bring a challenge for the 3-bedder to move as fast as compared to, for example, Reserve, which may have other layouts you can see later on. So next, let's take a look at the 3-bedroom premium. You can see ABT 1163 square feet. Okay, 3-bed, in fact 2-bath with a storeroom. If you talk about 2,005 per square feet, it's about 2.9 million. And the link on comparative to layout, it doesn't have a storeroom, 958 square feet, but bedrooms are much sizable.
958 is like a...
Yes.
Supposed to be a compact.
Compact.
But then the 797 is a super compact.
Yes, and this is something that even why I'm looking at this is because with this similar the layout, at 2,627 per square feet, if they were to sell in the open market right now, it'll be about 2.5 million, 2.6 million.
Yeah.
You compare side by side, both are small different. One is freehold, one is leasehold. It's selling at 2.85, 2.9 may pose a challenge for this.
Unless they launch it at 2004.
Yep, hopefully. And that will give you about 2.7. Maybe people will still consider to take for this 3-bedroom premium.
Yeah.
So there's something that we have to keep lookout at what exactly is the launch price.
So we'll go through the 2-bedders and 3-bedders analysis and layouts. And if you want to know about the 4-bedder also, then just reach out to us and we'll go through the 4-bedder with you also.
Yes, indeed. And next, let's take a look at reserve residences versus BT. This is a hot launch that is almost 95% sold, and it's something that is very exciting because with there's 732 units that's in the market. It has a huge demand. And if you look at the 2-bedders, currently the last transacted for a 2-bed 1-bath was about 1.4 million at 2,003 per square feet. And for a 2-bed 2-bath, it's about close to 1.6 million, 1.57 million for a 2-bed 2-bath.
And I think this will be your biggest competitor because you guys are exactly next to the MRT.
Yes.
They are launching in the same year. So I would say them being a bigger development, right, it gives them the advantage as compared to BT being like a smaller development.
Yes, indeed. And if you take a look, if BT were to launch at this price at 2006 compared to Reserve, you can see layout-wise, 2-bed 1-bath, okay, conventional layout with open with a kitchen that is with a window at 1.6 million as compared to Reserve 2-bed 1-bath. Wow, it's a dumbbell layout, very spacious. The layout wise, Reserve does have an edge against BT, and if this is going at 1.5 million, big development, this is going at 1.65 million. This where she does pose a challenge for BT to.
Because one of the rooms is also
acceptable.
smaller at BT.
As compared to this layout, which is more functional for Reserve. Okay, and if we look at the 2-bed 2-bath at 1.5, it hit 1.9 million. Maybe people will think that, hey, with BT, we have a chance. Launch at 1.94 million. But take note, this is a small development once again, and this is launching at the highest price of Reserve.
Yeah.
So something that will allow it to move faster, maybe about 1.8 plus million. People may still accept, but once again, big development and small development. Although this arrow looks very cool, but it doesn't really create wow, I maybe want to buy something just for the ventilation.
Because I would say for 2-bedders, right, a lot of people actually are investors that buy into it. So when the size is slightly bigger, the quantum goes a bit too high. It becomes a little bit out of reach for investors who want to enter into the market itself. So sometimes they really appreciate, let's say, a more compact layout, but at least the quantum is something palatable for them.
Yep, so this is something that you must take note if you are an investor yourself. Alright, so next we have the 3-bedders. For Reserve, 83 square feet, the compact layout is about 2.3 million quantum. And for the premium, 1044 square feet is about 2.4 to 2.5.
Yep.
So once again, BT and Reserve, you can see if BT launched at about 2.6 million at 2005 per square feet, once again, it's almost 300k higher than the 3-bedroom compact, which is a dumbbell layout, very efficient, with an enclosed kitchen. Okay, the only difference is instead of a balcony, it has a balcony as compared to BT, which have a home shelter, additional home shelter. But layout wise, it's actually pretty sizable. And in fact, you can see even the 2nd bedroom or 3rd bedroom is sufficient enough, bigger than your 2nd bedroom for BT. So once again, if you compare in terms of efficiency of layout type and quantum wise, it does put BT at not so good light. You want to move this 3-bedroom compact at 2.6 million. Alright, and if you look at the 3-bedroom premium, wow, then same thing. ABT may have some struggle to sell at 2.9 million, while reserve residence is 2.3, 2.5 million, which
I
is
think because
400K.
for A or BT wise, their living room is also on landscape. So when it's landscape, right, it's a plus and minus. It's either you like it or you don't, because landscape wise, your balcony has to fit the length, and that's why your balcony is longer or bigger as compared to, let's say, a portrait.
Yes,
so your
indeed.
portrait wise, it's narrow, long, but your balcony is smaller. So some people see it as a wasted space for a balcony.
Yes, and the only thing that maybe ABT can compete is the kitchen. This kitchen is a bit small as compared to ABT. So layout-wise, it's maybe slightly better. But in terms of quantum, to warrant for that 400K difference, if you launch at 2.9, it may put some challenge with people want to accept ABT.
Yeah.
All right. And most importantly, let's compare something that it can be seen, resale. Because resale is the benchmark of what can be acceptable in today's market, isn't that to compare ABT. So the only example can have find is something newer, is Mayfair Modern, about 2024 TOP just recently this year. And Daintree Residences, which is something that was bought by one of my clients, in fact, and now already TOP for almost 2+ years, all the way at Beauty World. Okay, so let's compare. So let's take a look at Mayfair Modern. By itself is similar size, 171 units. Okay, but take note, the landscape is almost double. Okay, close to 8,500 square meters. So I would say it's a mid-sized development.
Yeah.
And to compare apple to apple, why we take Mayfair Modern as a comparison is because it's near King Albert MRT. Like similar to how ABT is near to your Beauty World MRT.
Yeah.
And both are about the same number units, about 150, 171. So it's a good comparative. So let's take a look at the profitability of Mayfair Modern. You can see by itself, if we were to bought back in 2019 at 1,009 per square feet, okay, for the 3-bedder, they made almost close to 357K, okay, for some. And for the smaller units, 958 square, for the compact, it's about 278K. So I say decent, not too bad for 171 units, okay, but with a decent landscaping. And one thing to note is today, what we're seeing for 2-bedder have been recently transacted at 1.518 million. Okay, just August last year. And it took about 2 years back, you can see some have transacted 1.6 million. Okay, so what's important to compare is because the 2-bed, 2-bath as compared to 2-bed, 2-bath in ABT, okay, ABT, if you launch at 1.9, but you can see a resale at 1.5. 400K difference, honestly, it does pose some challenge for ABT move. But if they launch lower, ABT maybe at 2004, 23, never know. That's where maybe ABT may have a high chance to move. But once again, this is something that we compare to if you want to look into buying into ABT. Okay, and in terms of the 3-bedder, okay, Mayfair Modern recently transacted 1,044 square feet is at 2.45 million. Compact layout 958 square feet is about 2.2 million. Alright, so let's take a look at a 3-bedroom compact for Mayfair Modern, 958 square feet as compared to ABT. You can see Mayfair Modern transacted 2.2 million for a 3-bedroom compact. The only difference in the layout is that it doesn't have a storeroom. Okay, but in terms of kitchen, it's enclosed a window. But compared to ABT, if ABT on 2.6, 400K difference for something about 2-3 years, honestly, is on the higher side. And that may pose some trouble for ABT to sell. Okay, and next, let's take a look at the 3-bedroom premium for Mayfair Modern. Okay, it does have a small storeroom and even a washroom at the back. Okay, but not for that of your ABT. You only have 2 bathrooms. So when you compare with this, and you transact 2.4 million, if you sell at 2.7, 2.6 maybe, people should be accept for small device ABT, but at 2.9, once again, it's on the higher side. Okay, and last one on list is Daintree. Of course, it's a slightly older project, but a good comparative to consider. Clients bought at about 1,004 per square feet when there was 1,005 per square feet. And today you can see the profit margin they made for 1,055 square feet.
3-bedders.
3-bedder, 500K. For 2-bedder, it's also about 372K. And this is something that very interesting that we have here. And why is it a decent comparative? Yes, it's further away from BT MRT, but it's still decently new. So there's something that we can compare to. And development is bigger, 300+ units. Okay, with a decent kind of landscaping. So let's take a look at the comparison for the layout and the prices. You can see 2-bedder. The bigger one is 775 square feet at 1.6 million. The smaller one is 710 square feet at 1.45 million. Yeah. So if you compare the layout type, Daintree at 1.4 for 2-bed, 2-bath, decent layout. And it does have a window in the kitchens. Okay, similar at although it's along the walkway. But prices 400K difference.
Yeah.
So ABT is at a losing end in this sense if you launch at 1.9. Okay, so now let's take a look at the 3 beta for Dean 3 residences. For 105 square feet is transacted at 2.32 million. Okay, at 2,199 per square feet. If you compare the layout, okay, side by side, you can see Dean 3 has a study or like I would say a flexi. You compare like a storeroom. Okay, 2 bathroom.
Which is a bit more ideal because for study-wise, you have the flexibility of using it as a study. But if it's a home shelter,
Yes.
it's very hard for you to turn it into a study area also.
Yes, indeed. And the bedroom type, bedroom you can see, bedroom 2 is bigger compared to this bedroom over here. And at 2.3 million, if you were to sell this 103 square feet at 2.63 million, about 300k difference, I would guess it poses another challenge. Yeah, so there's something that you must take note if you were to be buying this compared bedroom type. Maybe 2.5 is still acceptable, but again, 2.6, it will pose some challenge for a developer to let it go at this price.
Yeah, so moving on to the transformation of this area, I would say even if they were to launch it on a slightly higher price, I think the take-up rate will be quite strong because of the area itself and it being next to the MRT. There's not many supply in the market like that. But of course, also do take note that the take-up rate for a development may not equate to the profitability at the end of the investment journey also. So to look at the transformation or what is going to be happening around this area, are there any upcoming land bits or residential plots around? The first thing that people will note is the upcoming Cross Island line. Because what will happen is then it will actually link King Albert Park all the way to Clementi and you're at Beauty World. So you're one stop away where you are connected to the Cross Island line. But also do know that this will be in 2030. So it will not be an immediate effect also. Because I think when this TOPs, it will likely be 2027, 2028 period. So it will have another 2 to 3 years before the Cross Island line will be up. Okay. And then future residential plots in this area, Holland Plain has been something that has been in the news since the past, and it was said to be scheduled to be ready from 2021 onwards. It hasn't been until very recently where 2 plots of land has actually been launched within this whole area. So this whole green plot that you see over here with like multiple residential plots, right? They can hold up to about 2,500 private residential units. And at this point, there are 2 plots of land that has been confirmed, one under the reserve and one is under the confirmed land.
Yes.
So the reserve one is the one on the left and then the right one is the confirmed one. So they're about mid-sized development, 240 as well as 275 units. So the good thing about this is that whenever you buy into an area, right, you want to know that you're not the last plot because you don't want to set the highest benchmark and basically help all your previous owners. You want to know that upcoming, there are still going to be land bits around the area that will help to move your prices up also. And for plots that have been confirmed and bidded is at D'Souza Avenue. So that one is slightly further up, not near MRT. Estimated will be 355 units. So this one has already been bidded and the break even is actually pretty low at 1,006. But of course, do note that this is post-area harmonization. So then the break even, you cannot just take it as it is. Like usually there'll be a 7 to 8% increment also.
Yeah, and with this, in fact, it will be close to 1,008 per square feet. Even if you sell about 2.1 to 2.2. But of course, locality-wise, it's actually much further up, closer to the OCR region, rather than the Beauty World area. So if you prorate it, yes, this will be equivalent to about 2.1 per square feet within the Beauty World area, although we'll be launching about close to 2,000 per square feet later on. But one thing to note is this will in fact affect the price within this area.
Okay, so with that, we've come to the end of the video. We don't have any indicative prices yet. So all the prices that we mentioned is really based on the break-even estimate that we got.
And yes, before we end, okay, we have our new launch guide right here in this QR code which you can scan so that you can get the latest update of the land bits to find out how exactly can we leverage on this information to make the right choice. Okay, and if you have more questions, like ask about real estate portfolio or investment questions, you can feel free to scan the QR code right here to contact our real estate investment team where we will attend to your queries and help you to structure your portfolio.
Yeah, so there you come to the end of the video. This is Grace.
This is Christian.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.